Hi, good morning. This is Jennifer, the J Shrink, and I'm here to tell you. I know we talked about celebrity worship and we had fun and laughed. Now it's back to the sad news of mental health. Today we're going to talk about a population that people just step on them, shit up on them, just throw them away. And it's going to be a 2-part series. So this is the first part. And the second part I'll do after this one. So I'm going to title this one The Horror and Pain of Leaving a mentally ill person in jail. That is, mentally ill people, instead of taking them to the hospital or the mental health clinic, when they do little things, as a result of their mental illness, they take them to jail. And they treat them like dirt. And I'm gonna read this story to you, and you'll see how sad it is. Okay, it says, U.S. Prisoner gouged out eyes after jail denied mental health care, lawsuit says. So he gouged his eyes out. He was going through a whole bunch of psychotic and delusional symptomology, and he ended up gouging his eyes out and being blind. When he asked the jailers to come help him because he was having problems, and they just ignored him, and and abused him. It's so sad. So he's blind now. This happened in Colorado. So he's permanently blind. He's suing the county jail in Colorado. Don't say where in Colorado. This guy is schizophrenic. His name is Richard Partridge. He's 31 years old. And it said a mentally ill Colorado prisoner gouged his eyes out and became permanently blind after officials repeatedly denied him treatment for psychosis despite multiple suicide attempts. According to a lawsuit, they do. When you get them in there and isolated and not the right people talking to them, there's a lot of suicidology that's going on in those jails. Okay? So, they said that Partridge, he was because of his illness, he was let me see what this is. He was jailed for minor offenses that were later dismissed. Officers ignored numerous acts of self-mutilation because he tried to commit suicide by jumping on a high beam. That's the first attempt before the eyes gouged out. They refused to respond to delusional episodes. And guess what they did? Guess what they did? And then, wait a minute, y'all. This is not a black man. This is a white man. This is a young white man. Guess what they did to him? They beat him and they tased him to get him to shut up when he was only manifesting the psychosis and the delusions of his mental illness. And they're going to do that. I mean, I've seen them do it all day. So, they beat and they tased his poor man. He's a young white man. They also ignored a judge's order saying that put him in the hospital, get him away from that prison. These little counties, y'all tell me this. Why these little counties and these little municipalities, they just think they can just do whatever they want to. They don't have to follow the law. They don't have to follow the judge's order. They just do what they want to do. Okay. So anyway, that's when he gouged his eyes out. And it's very, and it says, and this one I need to read this because this is sad. His case appears to be a particularly gruesome example of the way Americans with mental illness struggle to get help and can end up in jails and prison that punish them with cruel treatment and refuse to provide mental health services. Okay, I'm reading this from, I normally read, I know I'm digressing. Okay, I digress. I normally read all papers from all over the world because I don't trust USA Today and American papers and social media from anywhere, Fox or any of that. I don't trust that. I look at it, but I read from everywhere in the world, you know, because like this, they don't tell you this. They don't tell you that. And I don't know if they don't tell you that because he was white and not black. That may have been a factor. But a lot of people end up in jail, mentally ill, acting out their symptoms, and the guards punishing them like they did him instead of getting him treatment. And I know back when I was in the field, I worked with the psychiatrist at the Correctional Institute, and he was very good. He took care of his inmates. They had group sessions. They had medication. He was good. He was real good. And for Shreveport, Louisiana, where the black authority resides, and I reside with the black authority, he was just before his time. He was, and he wanted his prisoners, inmates taken care of. Okay, so let me see what they said. They said it was untrue. Now, how can it be untrue when you see laser marks and beatings and your eyes gouged out? How can that be untrue? How stupid do they think the public is? Okay, so it says Partridge began suffering from schizophrenia in his late 20s, and his parents are repeatedly forced to call the police due to violent outbursts. And the suit said the Boulder native was in and out of jail for minor offenses related to mental illness. Okay. All misdemeanors such as loitering, trespassing, and mischief. And at one point, he was homeless. See, that's what they end up in jail for, little simple things, you know. And they're not treated right once they're in there. So, they put him, when he talked about his suicide and paranoia, they put him in, they punched him in the teeth, and they put him in a security disciplinary cell where they punched and tased him again. Let's see what else they said about that. He was supposed to go to the state mental hospital according to the judge, and they never did that. No, I want to say. Okay, this okay, I talked about that. I'm trying to get all of the points out. And they said their suicide attempts was attention-seeking behavior. That's why they beat him and tased him. And the parents, of course, they didn't know. And they discovered him, the deputies, in the jail with his eyes swollen and shut. and blood on his hands. And he was taken to a hospital and released from jail. So you know what the commander and all those different people are gonna say. They're gonna say, "Oh well, he did it to himself. He was trying to get attention," and that they have mental health professionals, and that's a damn lie. I know CCC did when Dr. Flournoy was there, but they need people there who are trained in handling people with mental illness issues. Those jailers look high school or GED, just ignorant, just of mental illness. They need people to go out and actually they need their own in-house mental illness expert. Just like they have an in-house nurse, they should have an in-house mental health experts to help these people to get the medicated. This man was unmedicated. That's why he was behaving like that. He needed his medication. And so, and to just let them treat them, and the guards just get the fuck out the way. Okay? Because they don't know what the hell they're doing. But making matters worse. And, and the sad part about all this, y'all, it's still wasting the taxpayers' money. The more that they beat people, tase people, kill people, they waste the taxpayers' money doing stupid bullying tactics. Okay? So, it says, Partridge's family, Partridge's attorney, David Lane, said he hoped the lawsuit sparked national reforms. "We want to send a message to jails and prisons across the county that deliberate indifference to mental health needs of inmates will be so costly. Tasing and beating does not count as rendering aid or assistance to someone suffering from a psychotic break." Okay, so, and Richard said, the public needed to understand that schizophrenia is a disability. Under the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act of 2008 and 88, and argued that the government should not incarcerate people for mental illness. You know what? They should have something like a little jail, not really a jail, but like a little community place, set up where they could, kind of like a little mini state hospital where they could, keep the prisoners, keep the mentally ill away from the criminals and the psychopathic prisoners. Okay, so that's sad. So he's now with his family. He's adjusting to blindness, and they're waiting on that lawsuit, and they're gonna get that lawsuit. And I hope he gets that lawsuit because, the tragedy, just the inhumane things they did to him when he was mentally ill, and he was mentally ill, and he couldn't help himself because those are the symptoms of his, related to his mental illness, and they punished him for that. So that's my other concern. Like I said, I worked with the doctor that was at CCC. That was back a while, a while ago. So anyway, he was good. And I see even in Chicago, you know, I mean, so Colorado, it's still subpar. But I haven't really been to the to see the prisoners. I would like to. It's so far out though. To see how they treat their prisoners. Now, do they treat the mentally ill inmates the same as they do, you know, the other inmates, or do they punish them because of their mental illness? Okay, so this is a sad story. It's man. He's blind. I don't know. They just don't know what to do with mentally ill people. And I'm going to ask you this. How would you feel if you had, I'm trying to think of an illness that I didn't use in my other video. If you were in a wheelchair and you were having some types of problems with your bodily functions, and you yelled and yelled and yelled and yelled and yelled and yelled, and they just came at you, and just came in and beat you up, punish you, and didn't, you know, help you with the problems that you had. Or, I'm trying to think of some, you know, some that people could, okay. Let's say you had you were having seizures, and you were and you know, you weren't acting right, you weren't, you know, because you were having seizures. Your body was convulsing, you were having a grand mal seizure. That's the bad, the worst kind. And other prisoners were, they said he making all that noise. He all floating and jumping around. And you go in there and you beat and tase him. That's not productive. That's ignorance to the highest level. And it's just sad, you know. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I didn't treat this population for but a little while, but they do need help. And like I said, these are not your garden variety criminals. These are mentally ill people who do things out of the symptoms because of their mental illness. Okay. And also I want to go ahead and tell you that we got part 2 of this. 2 men, Terrell Thomas and Terrell Thomas in Milwaukee, and Daryl Rainey in Florida. And they were also prisoners who ended up dead because of vicious treatment by prison guards. Okay, I know this is a sorry little thing, but and people, if you know you got your mentally ill people in jail, or you call them because they were hitting on mama or whatever, do try to see them. So do try to see them, and just drop in, so that you might catch them doing those things. You might catch them doing those things. You know, if you just drop in. And don't just leave them in there, because look what happened when you just leave them in there and don't go and see about them. Yeah, try to go see about them once a day. You know, if you can now. Some people can't. But you can catch them in the act if you do that. Okay. Thank you, and you have a nice day.